stuff. So basically, oh man, sometime I don't know, it might be time to get a new phone. But I just want to do a real quick video. I just got through cleaning up the house and vacuuming and everything. So when my husband come home, everything will be fresh, smell good. Everything is done. So I just decided to, put on a little eyelashes and put a little wig on and put a little something on my lips, just a little bit, to do this video. So I just want to talk to somebody, and I want to expose the lies of the devil with divorce. So I want to talk about why I divorced my husband twice. Okay. And I'm on this video. Let me tell you something. I'm working on a major project. So I got one part of it done. Then I got up and started. I wasn't trying to clean up. Basically our house stayed clean. Anybody that know us know they'll tell you that. But I was doing something, and I noticed that one of the daggone smell goods was out. And I looked all of them out. They don't even last a week. So I just went and changed all of them. So I said, well, if you change them, then you gotta, the bathroom, I put these little, let me show you. So I just vacuum, so the floor is all vacuum and pretty. I just been walking on it a little bit, so wanted it to be fresh when Greg come home. But you can tell I like the carpet to look vacuumed. See, I learned this from, I used to clean. I worked at a cleaning company, and I remember one time she called me in the house. She called me back in this room. She said, when you vacuum, don't walk. Like when you vacuum, you don't walk over. You vacuum your way out, so you won't have to walk and leave no footprints. When they come home from work or wherever they come, when they enter the house, you want it to look freshly vacuumed. But I got my kids come downstairs and stuff, so I just did this. So they'll be, by the time Greg get home, I don't know where the footprints would be. But see, I just vacuum little areas, and so it can be fresh and pretty when he come home. Then I got my little candles up. They've been on for a little while, the little candles. So in the bathroom, what I did, my bed ain't done because I'm working on something. So Greg don't care about all that. I'm working. But what I'm talking about in here is, see, the little smell good things, those little peach things. Then I always put some spray in the toilet so it can stay fresh and clean. Then the closet, I vacuum the closet too so it can be fresh. And then I got these two little things right here to make it fresh. And then plus the plug-ins. So then I'm gonna shut the closet door so that Greg can, I shut the closet door so that it can be fresh in the bathroom and in the closet when he opened up that door. But anyway, so wound up vacuuming and cleaning up. Wasn't planning on doing that when I need to be working with this stuff on this bed, which I am. I got some books. I got about me and Greg some books. One of them is the definition of demons. It's a whole big thick like a Bible, different definitions about witchcraft and everything. So I just got those today. Told you I bought a whole bunch of books on Amazon yesterday. So anyway, long story short, first of all, the devil is a liar. And I'm going to be real and transparent. It's just simple as that. So I could remember, back, I had a boyfriend when I was 14 years old. He was crazy about me. But that's, you know, yeah. So I ain't gonna get into too much details with that. So then I broke up with him because I met the one guy I really liked at the school that I gave the gonorrhea to. I broke up with that one because I liked him. School started. I think I was in the ninth grade. Yep. I guess I was in the ninth grade. 10, 11. No, I probably was in the 10th. I don't know, I could have been in the ninth or 10th. But anyway, I was 14, saw this mixed boy, so handsome. but he was in the slow room. But I ain't care if he was in a row room. I ain't care if he was in a tow room. Okay. So, I mean, I was at that door every day because I was, he was real kind of shy, but you really, he was kind of like a little older for his age. That's the way he seemed. But he was intimidated by me, but you would have to know him to know that. Well, anyway, so that's why I broke up with so then I met another guy that I started going with, was horrible. He was on drugs. He was 17. I was 15 by this time. And he was I just turned 15. He was the type of person that raised himself in these streets, had an amazing mama. At first she didn't like me, but then she fell in love with me. I got saved and she just fell in love with me. She was a beautiful, beautiful woman. So, that dude was horrible, horrific, just a dirty devil. I mean, I have no hard feelings against him. I'm just telling you how he did me, how he treated me. He treated me really, really, really horrible. And my parents didn't know. That's why it's so important to pray for your children, because your children be going through stuff that you might not even know. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, and my parents liked him. Yeah, they did. So having that experience with him versus the 14-year-old boyfriend, the one that was crazy about me, it made me feel like nobody would love me like that guy did. I'm trying to take you to the first divorce. So I never forgot about him. Then I ran into him again after I got saved and married in 2000, I believe it was. I ran into him again. And all those feelings came rushing back, like all those emotions, because this young man, he was 17, I was 14. He was crazy about me. He work and give me, some of his check, like a grown man. So hear them feelings come back, and he do music. He worked for major, like even today, he worked for major stars. He like make them beats and do all that stuff. Very creative, very blessed with what he does. And he sings good too. So we ran into each other. Boom, here he giving me a track. So he got a track. We started talking. His wife worked at the same place that we both worked at, but they worked in the cleaning department. I worked in the customer service department. So they the team that came after we left. So ran into each other. And that's when, God was, let me tell you, right when we ran into each other, man, I was loving on God like you would have never known. Me and Greg had been married since 1998, and we only got married. We had been together for 3 years. We got married because I got saved. He gave me an engagement ring before that, but later he said he just gave me that to shut me up because he wasn't trying to get married. Well, when I got saved, either we gonna get married or you gotta go. So he didn't want to get married. He never said he didn't want to get married. He didn't never say anything. He just was quiet like a mouse. He just wouldn't say nothing. So we knew he had to go. So, we mutually, he packed his stuff. My heart was sad, but I loved God. So I couldn't believe God saved me. So I was willing to, I loved God. So I initially thought that we was going to break up since we weren't going to get married, but we didn't break up. We still saw each other. I had my oldest daughter, she was 5 by this time, and then me and Greg had a baby together at this point. She was, 6 months when I got saved. So I just thought we was just going to be, co-parenting. I really didn't, but we didn't break up. So I got saved January 18th, 1998. And so I chose God over Greg. Now, when God filled me with the Holy Spirit and I got off that floor, that was it. That was it. No, I didn't want no sin. I didn't want nothing but God. So me and Greg, so then that was January 18th, 1998. So February the 14th, me and him was together. And he went to the barbershop, so I was with him. Then he bought me a dozen of roses, which he always bought me roses. That's nothing that, even as a 20-year-old boy, just turned 20, he just always gave me whatever. He just always been like that with me. He wasn't like that with nobody else, just with me. And so he bought me the roses, chocolate candy, and a teddy bear. And then he just said, let's get married. He just said it like that. Let's get married. So I said, okay. Because I knew that was God. I knew I made a deliberate choice, and I chose Jesus over this man or any other man. And God, look at God. He turned around and that man, me and him got married. I feel like I definitely know that. Well, anyway, married him. And then, like I told y'all, in 2000, ran into this guy. Well, I knew I wasn't supposed to work with him. I knew it. But it came at a time when I was on fire for God in my heart. Like I was so out for the Lord. That's why when you start fasting and praying and really seeking God for real, and getting in that Bible, even if you're not fasting, but fasting is an amazing spiritual weapon. And it's so powerful. You can't even begin to imagine how powerful fasting is added with your prayers. Fasting takes your prayers to a whole different epic. It's you can't even imagine what fasting does in the spiritual realm. And fasting is like it's like an atomic bomb. Man, it'll blast, like it's spiritual. Every weapon, every key to the kingdom is spiritual, but they so powerful. They blast and they manifest. It's like you know how you see them supernatural people, how they can, let me see what I can think of, a movie where they just can, let me see. I'm seeing it, but I can't imagine it. I mean, I see it, but I can't articulate it at this point. Like I can't think of what movie this is, but you know how, Dad, come on, Joy, Lord, please bring it to me. I can see the man running through the wall, busting through the wall, like that supernatural stuff. I can't think of the movie, but I can see it, so that's what fasting does. And that's what all spiritual weapon does, especially when God tell you this is the weapon that you use to defeat this enemy that you're facing. You see what I'm saying? Like David didn't use nothing but the word of God. David didn't fast. He wasn't fasting. So at that point when he had to face Goliath. So that fasting is so, I'm telling you, it's so powerful. So, okay, so at this point, now here I come face to face with this temptation. And immediately when he gave me that CD, there was a direct contact. So now, this thought always in my head anyway, I've never had nobody to love me like this man loves me. See, because now I'm looking at, the different things that me and Greg has gone through and thinking that Greg didn't love me. I really felt like he didn't. But what Greg's whole motive was, that man worked to take care of us. So with him working, and by the time he get home, he tired because he ain't all over me, didn't mean he didn't love me. But I didn't feel that way. I felt like Leah having all these babies by this man, and no matter how many babies, he ain't gonna love me. But man, that was so far from the truth. Because what happens is when the devil give you a lie and you keep feeding on it, every time he's feeding you. And if he's feeding you and you eating what he's feeding you, then you building up that lie. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a monument. The bigger and the more you feed on it and build on this thing, it becomes, now this thing is a large monument. So I knew God said don't work with him. So I'm in the car listening to that man beats. I'm just like, it was like a haze, like a maze. Like I never heard nothing sound so awesome in my life. And the beats the music that I liked growing up was like Biggie. Like I loved Biggie. I love the beats that, and I love Little Kim music. So I guess you can say Puff Daddy, I liked the way I liked his. I didn't like every song, but that was my style. I guess it was the New York. Some of the LA stuff I liked. I didn't like everything. I was very picky, but I was more prone to that particular kind of music, more of a Biggie fan than anybody. So Greg loved Tupac. Greg is more of a Tupac fan. Wait, let me see, because somebody's stuff at the door. So that's how I became really, interested in Tupac music too. I mean, of course I like Tupac music, some of his songs. Them kids got to come and get this because Sonya. Okay. So hear this music. See, the devil. See, when I first gave my life to Jesus, the first thing God told me to do was, well, not the first thing, but one of the first things, get rid of that music. I had just bought, I can't think of that girl name, not Monifa, but whatever her name was. I had just bought her CD. Remember I told y'all every time Greg came home from work, he bought me a dozen of roses, a CD, and gave me the rest of the money. So I had all these CDs, that I loved. And God said, I was at home one day and I was by myself in one of these places we stayed at. And I was by myself. And I was on my knees. I was just crying to God and talking to God. And he said, get rid of that music. That's exact. I said, okay. And then Tiffany came over there, Greg baby mama. And I gave it all to her. But she wound up getting saved too. She wound up getting, I think, wait a minute. I think she got saved before I did. She did. So I don't know why she took them seeds, because God probably didn't deal with her about that, but he dealt with me about that. Anyway, long story short. So here this music is again. Here this devil tempting me with what he know that flesh love. He knew I loved that. So here he come bringing this man in the form of music. Now, I didn't know all the talents this man had back then because I was a kid. I didn't care. I just wanted what I wanted. And I was up. That's it. Okay. So now I'm faced with, you just got through laying all in the grass, falling in love with the Lord, telling God you'll walk on that water over there if you want him to, doing all this stuff. Now here comes a CD and God, God telling you can't work with this man, but you willing to risk your relationship with God to work with this man. You married, he married, and all them feelings was right there. I couldn't hide it from myself. Huh? It's on the porch. That's why I just called and told you. Because I didn't want to go out all the way out there. I didn't have no shoes on. And so, now I'm face to face with, okay, Joy, you married. First of all, you saved. Then you married. This man married. What's up? I couldn't hide the way I was feeling from Joy. And I definitely couldn't hide it from Jesus. But nobody else knew besides the enemy. Okay. I'm going to shut this door because she's going to go in there and turn on her iPhone, iPad. And I'm trying to do this video. So anyway. So now this is the first part of, here this enemy come. Here's this first encounter with me and my flesh and the temptations. This is the first encounter. So I just start crying while I'm in that car because I knew I was listening to that music that God was saying, do not. So I at this point, I was listening to Fred Hammond's song, Give Me a Clean Heart, because that was my prayer. So now I'm listening to this song and I'm saying, Lord, you got to help me because, I want to do my music. I want to work with him. I ain't want to work with nobody else. All this mess. So now I don't know what to do. I know what to do, but that's not what I want to do. So the Lord had blessed Greg with a Trans Am, brand new, beautiful black. Oh my goodness, beautiful car. And in the license plates he had on there 7 in God. He had 7 in God on his license plates. So I remember driving that car over to this guy's house so he could think I'm more than what I was. You see what I'm saying? Just, so his studio was at his house. His wife was there. So he didn't know about me that I could rap either. So when I went there, now here I go with my music, with his music and my delivery. It was powerful. That's all I can say. It was. So I'm sitting there like, trying to look cute, got this cute dress on, just trying to look cute. Just, yeah. So now the second time I go, my husband got to go with me because I shouldn't even be going anyway, but Greg, come and go with me because I'm faced with this temptation. Come go with me. So, because, so he went with me. So then the next encounter I had, after that, I just felt really, really ashamed before God because I knew that my heart, that they're that devil telling me you would never hear the devil come. Nobody never love you like him. See, he always have told me that because of the relationships I was in after him. I just remember how good he treated me. Well, long story short, I was, talking to Greg about it. I said, well, Greg, please tell me not to go. I begged him to tell me not to go because I wanted to go so bad, but I didn't want to hurt God that bad. So Greg, if you just tell me not to go, you my husband, he said, listen here, baby. He said, I'm not going to tell you not to go. He said, you know what God wants you to do. You got a decision to make. I can't do that. And he knew what I was feeling because I told him. I had to tell him because I was losing this fight within myself. And I didn't want to disappoint Christ. It wasn't about my marriage. It was about my relationship with Jesus. Because sometimes your marriage ain't strong enough to keep you out of a temptation. But if you love God, that can keep, you know what I'm saying? So I remember taking a shower. I said this before a long time ago. And God said, talk to me. And this happened, like I'm talking to y'all, this is just a conversation. And it just happened out of nowhere. And because I was in the shower, I was in there just feeling so just horrible about myself. Now, nothing happened between us. The only encounters that we had is what I'm telling y'all. But I knew in myself what I was dealing with. So I remember in the shower and the Holy Spirit literally out of nowhere just said, talk to me. And I said, talk to you. I can't talk to you. You don't know how I feel. You never lusted. That's exactly what I said. And he said, I bore your sin. And oh my goodness, I just cried like a baby because in that moment I realized he knew how lust feels because he bore mine. He bore our sin. Man, I was elated. Now I can talk to Jesus again because I didn't feel like I could talk to him. I didn't feel like I could talk to him because what am I going to say? I'm over here lusting How I'm going to talk to you? What we going to talk about? So I moved away from Jesus. Now, I read my Bible every day. I cried to God out in prayer, and you know what I'm saying? But to talk to him, I would, I no. What we're going to talk about, because you don't understand. You don't understand this, because what am I going to say? And instantly, oh my goodness, me and God was reunited. And I talked to him, and I never looked back. I I told him I don't want to do nothing. I left. I was up, and guess what he said when I saw him again, when I talked to him again in 2014, and this was 2000. See how that devil not gonna stop? He ain't gonna stop. If he know that's a weakness to you, he's gonna keep on trying to bring that thing in your life to destroy you until you finally cave in. That's why you got to be strong in the Lord and the power of his might, baby. I always tell y'all, build them walls. So, guess what he said when I talked to him in 2014? He reached out to me and told me his brother passed. On Facebook, he told me that. And I was devastated by that. Well, that's how we started back talking again. So this time, he got to bring everything with it. And I'm no disrespect to him. I'm just telling you this. I'm just going to say I'm telling you where the enemy was at in all of this. He said, yeah, then we talked about that time. And he said, yeah, you left me again. You just left me again. No warning, no nothing. You was just gone. So he brought that up. You left me again. So now we talking. Me and Greg getting into it. You know, a little bit, not much. The real problem was this man. Now let me tell you how he hooked me. Let me tell you. I'm trying to tell you how my first divorce came. Let me tell you how he hooked me. Now this man pulled out everything. Every song he ever wrote about me. Now he's sending me this music. Songs he wrote. He even had a song called Joy. This man sent me every song he did and told me I was his muse. This was before all of you even came out. Well, it probably did come out around that time. I'm like, the most beautiful songs in the world. Oh my goodness. And I'm listening to him. Listen, y'all, listen. And he's sending me videos that he did of, all of this. Guess what? There was the bait, and I was the fish, and I was hooked. Now I'm listening to, I got these lists on the iPad, listen to his stuff all day long while my husband is at work slaving for us. I worked too. I worked overnights at this point. That's when I was able to overcome that devil of quitting jobs. I was able to stay at a job for a year. You see what I'm saying? So now I've been fasting and praying, God really dealing with me. So don't think because you're fasting and praying, temptations ain't gonna come. That's what you got to realize. People think because you fast and pray, temptation, if they come, you so strong, you gonna step on them like they mountains. You just gonna get over it. No, it depends on how strong that temptation is. That's why God was having you fast anyway, so you won't fall into this trap. So now by the time I meet him, now I done gained this weight back that I had lost. See what I'm saying? So I lost all this weight in 2011, 2012. Now 2013, I heard this weight. I gained the weight back. I went from 150 to 242. That's when I got to 242. So he come in my life when I was big. I got big, and he found me on Facebook. So now I'm asking God already. I'm just starting to ask God, Lord, what do you want me to do? I need you. And the Lord said, Daniel, fast. So that's when I started back my Daniel fast. This was February, this was January, the end of January 2014. And God told me what to do. I just started walking and I started doing my Daniel fast. And that's when I lost that 70 pounds in 3 months and then 100 pounds in 5 months. Long story short, now I'm listening to this man music every day. I mean, all day. And it's hooking me, hooking me. That's why you better be careful what songs you listen to, because that stuff will hook you. That stuff, it's a bait. Like my husband just sent me a song. It was so beautiful. By Shellamore. What is it called? This is for the lover in you. And man, that song was so beautiful. It was just so beautiful. So beautiful. So, but you better be careful what you listen to, because that man was literally, the devil was using him and his music to bait me. So now any little thing my husband did was worse than it ever been. And Greg wasn't doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now it's time for that lie to be my truth. Because now here this man go. And from what I know, okay, so anyway, now me and Greg getting into it. Let's back up. Me and Greg was getting into it because I remember one day he came home. He was in that bed. I don't know what he was dealing with or whatever. And he sat on that bed. I was supposed to be at work, but my back was hurting me, so I didn't go to work. And so because he had slept on the couch a couple of nights because my back was hurting me. In our bed, the bed we had it was a little bed. It was like a queen. It was like a full size queen bed, so it wasn't that big. But God, that's when me and Greg was sleeping on the floor, and the Lord had blessed us with that bed. So, everywhere we went, that's the bed we had. So Greg was sleeping on the couch a couple of nights because of my back. So then this one night he came and got to bed. I said, you're not going to sleep on the couch. This was before the guy. This is what really made me say, I'm tired. I'm done. So he came in and sat on the bed. I said, Greg, you're not going to get on the couch tonight? He's talking about, you get on the couch. And I said, but my back hurt. I don't give a F. Carry your fat A and get on the couch. Yes. That's what triggered everything. So then right after that, here come this man. See how the devil work? Right after. So then guess what? I got out that bed and I got on that couch. And I vowed to myself I would never get into bed with him again. And I didn't get back into bed with Greg until 2018. 2018, we got married again. Sure. Well, I couldn't. Well, we wound up divorcing at the end of 2014. So, and then we didn't get back married to 2018. But the point was, I wasn't getting back in that bed with him. You know what I'm saying? So whatever he was dealing with, then, us clashing. So there you go. That's what happened with that. And then here this boy come. Boy, I was so offended by Greg saying that to me. So there you go. So me and this man talking, he traveling around the world because he, with his music and stuff like that. And so finally he came home in March, he wanted to see me so bad, but I was like, not right now. So I went on ahead and saw him, and then, we just started seeing us all together. I saw him 5 times, I believe. And so then that's when I started working on my home healthcare proposal. And every time me and him would talk, everything with my proposal would come to a complete halt. Now, keep in mind, I'm still fasting. So I'm hearing God clearly. So I'm scared, though, because I'm still going the wrong direction. I'm still walking this way when I should be walking this way. So now every day I'm seeing grace. Grace. I mean, everywhere on the trash can trucks, everywhere. So I knew, and plus I'm still reading my Bible, but I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed because I know I'm wrong. Okay? But that's why when somebody hurt you, forgive them. Don't be offended. Just forgive them, because offense hurts you. It hurts you. So every time the Lord showed me how every time me and him, even when I talk to him, everything with my business just come to a halt. But I noticed something about him. First of all, I'm steady trying to leave him again. And there he go. Every time I'm walking, every time it's like I'm on a red carpet. I'm walking, I'm happy, I'm hiding, and you want to snatch the carpet away from up under me. First of all, you're not my man. I mean, you're not my husband. And I love Jesus, and I'm got to go. People don't understand that. All they understand is their own mess, but one day they will. Hopefully your obedience to God will make them obey, make them understand later that, man, I see why Joy can't stay in no mess. So, now that makes him act different with me. He started acting different with me. Like, okay, he just started saying, you know what, I can't keep doing this with you. You know, he wouldn't let me go. But then at this point, I don't want him to let me go. But it's a tug of war. So now here come November. So I filed for divorce from my husband. And now here November come and me and Greg get the divorce. So as soon as I got the divorce, I told him I'm divorced, because he kept saying, y'all ain't gonna get no divorce. I said, we is getting a divorce, but I wasn't getting it. Okay, he definitely contributed to me getting a divorce. But the way me and Greg was clashing, I was so offended by this man. At this point, I was just ready to get out of here. But Greg was heartbroken. I remember one day, I wouldn't even let him touch me. Even before, of course he couldn't touch me after we got divorced. I wouldn't let him touch me. So one day, I said, I went on ahead and let him touch me. And after we got finished, he just, he looked, oh my goodness, when I tell you, he looked so sexy. He on his black t-shirt, he on his jeans, he had a belt on, he was getting ready, probably, I don't know. And but he's, we wind up, this was before I divorced. We wasn't divorced yet. And so I remember when we got through, man, he went in the bathroom, and when I saw his face, man, his eyes, he was crying. Man, tears just flowing out of his eyes. His eyes was so bloodshot red. He was so hurt. That crushed him, that divorce, because he never wanted a divorce. So we sat in that courthouse, and then we got that. The first time we had to do something else. I filled out all the paperwork. We had to do something else. We got it. We weren't able to get the divorce. We came back the next time. We was divorced. So when we got home, we just came home together, just like this every time we divorced. We just act like we was still best friends or something. I can't explain it. So that's why I divorced my husband. Greg hurt me when he said that to me, but that man definitely contributed to that divorce, and I can't lie. Well, that man wound up being horrible. I remember he was not what the devil made like he was. He wasn't. Everything about it was nothing. He wasn't that person, period, that the devil made him out to be. So, man, you listen to that devil get you somewhere, baby. It ain't what it seemed to be. The grass is not greener. So he had wound up moving in, I think, with his family, his mom and him, while and left his wife just mess, but he wound up being back with his wife. So, but here's the thing. Soon as I divorced my husband, guess what? God said, cut him off. I was done with him. That was it. That was it. I never had nothing else with that man. Nothing. He'll reach out to me on YouTube, on Facebook sometime. That's over. He'll send me some on Facebook while I was divorced from my husband the second time, talking how much he loved me. Please, boy, by the time I see you, you could write a book on here. And guess what? I know you now. I know the devil. So when I divorced my husband, that was over. Nothing never happened with us because God said, leave him alone. Remember, God kept saying grace, grace, grace. Remember? And guess what? Guess what I started saying after that? Mercy, mercy, mercy. God was saying, you better hurry up. You better cut this off. I mean, we really didn't have nothing, but the point is, I couldn't even, that was it. And that was over. I divorced my husband. Me and them, it was nothing. That was all. God said, cut up, baby. I ran like lightning. Then my business was called Grace because I birthed that business during a season of grace, baby. That was like a prostitute. That was like, you know, Homer and that was like, that was just like a whole grace thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I mean by prostitute, I'm talking about how God showed his grace to me in my worstest time. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about sleeping around and stuff. I'm talking about, man, he still let me birth out his baby while I'm playing out in the field. That's what I'm talking about. So that's what contributed to my divorce the first time. And God shut all that down with that man, everything. And it was just me and Jesus. And that's how God was able to bless me the way he did, because it was nobody in my life but Jesus. Nobody. And then here that narcissist came. But, you know, God didn't let that go nowhere. But anyway, so then when I told y'all, I was on the phone talking to the guy, the photographer guy. And we was talking, he was, you know, on the phone all day that day, about 5 or 6 hours all day. All of a sudden, Greg sent me a snippet of Love and Basketball when they said double or nothing. And I just heard choose. And so instantly I said, I choose Greg. And me and Greg weren't even together. We hadn't been together since 2000. He moved in with us when we moved down the street because, you know, we was homeless together. He just slept in the living room. Then that was 2016. He came over every weekend. He washed his clothes. He said the living room was there all day on Sunday, you know, with the kids and stuff. And, you know, he just always, he told me, God said, you my wife. And I'm looking at him like, no, I'm not. I told him, I said, I'm not. So then he would say that to me all the time. And I just stopped saying anything. He could say whatever he wanted to say. I already knew God had somebody else for me, but he didn't. He had my husband for me. But I was so focused on God got something better for me to where I couldn't even see what I already had right in my face. It was nobody better for me than Greg, because that's who God ordained for me to be with. That was his purpose. It was his purpose for us to do this together. It's ordained. So anyway, so then that's when I instantly, what I did was I chose Greg. Like Greg was sending me them songs and stuff. And he sent me that Love and Basketball. So I just heard choose, and instantly I said, I choose Greg. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere, my heart turned to Greg. Out of nowhere. So then I called him like the next day or whatever, because this was May. And I said, Greg, Now he's sending me all these love songs, all this stuff. So I said, he answered the phone. He said, "Hey, Joy." I said, "You know what, Greg?" He said, "What?" I said, "I want my husband back." And the phone just went silent. And you can hear it. You can hear the tears rolling from his eyes. You know what he said to me? He said, "I waited 3 years to hear you say that." That's what he said. And then he started sending me. So I did not. So now, he at work. So now we off the phone. Then I start sending him love songs like Fred Hammond love song, "Excuse Me" by Jasmine Sullivan. Just little. All of a sudden, he starts sending me songs like, "I could do bad. I could do better without you." All this stuff. Like, I mean, when I was, now see, he been sending me songs all while we went together. But they was romantic songs. Some of it had cussing in. I'm like, so I said, "Hey, listen, dude." I ain't call him a dude. I probably say, "Hey, listen, stop sending me this mess. I'm a saved woman." I ain't want to hear none of that mess. Now, since I want to hear this romance and love and want him to tell me how much he loved me through these songs, I gets nothing but I'm out the door. His songs was really literally telling me, "No way, woman." Like all the frustration he was holding in him for all them 3 years, he was releasing it through them songs. I said, so I stopped sending him these love songs and I just drew into Jesus. I said, "Lord, I don't know what this is, but I can't, and then all of a sudden he just, I guess he had to get that off his chest. Then you wouldn't believe it. God gave me a scripture, Isaiah 58, about bringing the homeless to your house. Now, I was fasting, and I was saying, and as soon as he said, I felt like he said Greg, because Greg was living in that hotel, because I had I really put him out, but it was mutual, but I really wanted him to go. Why? So I can move on with my life. Who gonna want me with this man living here? See what I'm saying? Even though we wasn't married, we wasn't living together, but wasn't married, but he was sleeping on the couch. He had nowhere to go, but that ain't the point. Greg wanted to be with his family, but that ain't the point. The point is, who gonna want me? You got to go, because somebody's pursuing me, and you can't. I didn't say that to him, but we got into it. So that, get out of here. But that was another situation. So all of a sudden, the Lord told me, "Bring him back home." And I'm like, and literally the next week we was married. We was married June the 13th. And just like that, out of nowhere. And when I tell you, when it was love at first sight again, like it's this love that God gave us, like from the beginning. And so then here the enemy come. A couple of months later, we start clashing. And that's when I said, "Nope, I'm not finna do this with you." And then another thing scared me too. What was scared the mess out of me was, if you take Greg back, what if you go back to poverty? Because all me and Greg had together was poverty. You know what I'm saying? Love, our kids, Jesus, we had God, we had, but we didn't never have nothing. All of a sudden, as soon as we divorced, God blesses me like this. So I was afraid. I was so scared. So I was really guarded. So then we start clashing, and then, okay, I'm out of this. So this was 2018. We just really started getting into it. Stopped talking. Then after that, we just stopped talking. He slept on the couch in the living room. We in that place, we only slept in the bed probably a couple of times because the bed was uncomfortable for him. His he had picked up that weight and stuff. He was uncomfortable. And so our mattress wasn't that comfortable. But by that time I got some little money so I can buy another mattress. So I bought another mattress. And that one wasn't comfortable either, but I still slept in my bed, and he just stayed on the couch. So we only slept in a bed together maybe twice, and that's it. And he slept on the couch. And so we just kind of started getting into it a little bit, and then that was it. It was division. So we just stopped talking like that. We'll talk if we have to, but it wasn't nothing. So then we start getting into it. So then now, here to my mind, I got to get out of this. And the Lord clearly said, don't divorce your husband. He said it. And I just was crying like, God, please have mercy on me and get me out of this. And so one day, so the picture he posted on Facebook with that woman was his friend's wife. But when somebody sent it to me, I didn't feel nothing like something was wrong with that. But somebody else did. So I asked Greg who this woman was. So, he's like, well, we ain't together no way. So I said, okay. We're going to meet at the courthouse. We're going to meet at your doctor's appointment. Then we go to the courthouse. So he called me back. He said, Joy, you don't have to come to my doctor's appointment with me. Just I'll meet you at the courthouse. And that's exactly what he did. And we divorced. It's just that I filled out all the paperwork. He sat there with me. We got through. We did they notarized it, and they gave us a court date, and we was out, and that was it. We was divorced. January of 2021. Simple as that. Now, the first time we divorced, I felt my spirit would get so low when I would go to the grocery store, because now I'm not shopping for him no more. I've been shopping for Greg for 20 some years. Now I can't take care of him like that no more. And that hurt me. That's the only thing that hurt me. Everything else, I just was looking forward to a new life with somebody different, even though I ain't have nobody. So now so that was the first divorce, and then the second divorce. The third, so then this marriage, when we was building this house, man, I would call Greg I just wanted to share. I felt so horrible. Not horrible, I felt weird sitting at that table signing that contract without Greg. Because everything we did together. I just felt the Lord said, I'm with you. So I went ahead and did everything I had to do. Every process of the way, I'd be on the phone with Greg, tell him about it. Oh, this, I just wanted to share everything with Greg. I would share, every process of this house, everything. I don't know. It's like really in life, I don't want to do things without him, but I didn't really want to fully be with him because I thought it was something better out there for me. That's the only way I can explain it. And then, us getting together, house divided, can't stand us getting, into it, because that was that devil trying to make us division. Why is the devil working so hard to try to make you and this man divided? You a good wife. You a wonderful wife. He's an amazing husband. Y'all good to each other. I love each other. Y'all even together when y'all ain't together. What's wrong? Why y'all can't? Why y'all? What's wrong? But it was never Greg that wanted a divorce. It was always me, because I just felt like I was fed up, but that was the enemy. So anyway, yeah. So when we moved in, the only reason why Greg came here is because he hurt his ankle when he was living in a hotel and he wasn't able to work. So, but we still was praying about getting married and everything. But I acted really funny with Greg because I really didn't want him here and we wasn't married. So I really acted standoffish and I acted really funny with him. Then I I just didn't respect my husband. I really didn't. I didn't respect Greg. I'll say anything to Greg, I would. It wasn't enough for me to call him a nigga. It wasn't nothing for me to say, nigga, who you talking to? And I feel even bad in my heart repeating that. But it wasn't nothing to me to say, you know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, I'm in there creeping with my little size 7.5 feet, size 7 little feet, creeping in there talking about, I'm sorry, because I feel bad before Jesus. You can't come in here and talk to God and you just disrespecting your husband or out here clowning. Get in there and apologize. He'll just keep on eating, and he won't even look up at me. Because he already say, probably to himself, gone, gone. And somebody told me that's not Christ-like at all. Of course not. That's why I'm simply telling you my story. What you mean? I know it's not Christ-like. It's not. So, I had to, but let me, I'm coming to this conclusion, to the conclusion of this. And this is what I have to say. Now, very disrespectful to my husband in the past. Not all the time, because I love the Lord. But if I feel like you coming for me, then I was coming for you. And another thing that really bothered me was, when Greg would come home and just give me maybe give me $200 a week or something like that. And I would be like, wait a minute. But what it was is, after they take out from his chapter 13 and all these taxes, and he still got us on his medical insurance, all that, and then he need money to get back and forth to work. He didn't have much to give me. But every little thing would irritate me. And I'm just being real. If you can't take the transparency, get off here. Because I'm going to be real with you, because this can save somebody else's marriage. But that's the truth. Little bitty things would irritate me, because the devil always made me listen. This is the key. This is the whole key to the whole thing with the devil. He made me feel like that's my enemy. So if you knew somebody was your enemy, yeah, you got your guards up and man, you ready to fight. And that's how the devil always made it feel like he was my enemy. Like he don't love you. He just using you. Like, how could this man be just using me? And this man took care of me over 20 years with me barely working. See what I'm saying? But that's just how the devil would make me feel. And so this year, like I told y'all before, not this year. Well, this year, yeah. Because last year, yeah, it was just, yeah, I'm great. It's just terrible. So even from taking a shower in my bathroom, Greg, he had a brace on his leg. And I just felt uncomfortable with him being in my room, and he wasn't my husband. I just did. So I said, I said, Greg, I don't want you taking a shower in my bathroom. And he had to walk upstairs, and he would never say a word. He would deal with it. But listen, all along, that offense and that not liking me was brewing inside of him. So he wasn't just not saying nothing. He the type of person, he's quiet. He's slow to speak, swift to hear, and in some situations slow to wrath. Now, if you come for him, he ain't no punk, and he by no means, like ain't nobody gonna come messing with him, bully him. He don't play games with no man or nothing like that. He don't play them games, and he also don't play when it comes to me and to his family. But when it comes to me, I can really push them buttons. Just like when it comes to him, he can really push them buttons when it comes to me. So let me hurry up so I can get out here. I'm gonna go take me a shower before Greg get here. So, another shower anyway, because I had walked this morning, but I didn't go anywhere today. I didn't go out the house. So, but anyway, just scared again. I'm not married to Greg. Greg living here. Lord, please, I don't want to get in trouble with you. Please don't punish me. That's why we was talking about the marriage thing. But when he got here, I didn't want to marry him. I didn't want to. I didn't want him. And that's the truth. but a little bit of me did. A little bit, just a teeny bit, but I didn't want him. So in January, I kept hearing, about January and beginning of February, well, this is what I prayed. I said, God, let Greg find him somebody first so that when I find somebody, my kids won't come for me. Because you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be no trouble. So if he finds somebody first, then maybe they won't bother me when I find somebody. That's what I prayed. So then I kept hearing, but I thought it was me saying this. Well, when you see Greg with another woman, that's going to determine how you really feel. I thought I was just saying it to myself, but that was the Holy Spirit saying that to me. So then all this time, Greg was not liking me. He was just, I was disgusted to him. Like he said that day in that hallway, he said, get away. He said, get away from me. You disgust me. And I looked at him and I knew he meant that. I knew he meant that. That was one day he was finna go to work, or someday I was fussing at him. We was fussing. And he said that to me. And man, I knew it. I knew I was disgusting to him, the way he looked at me. So all that time with me around her acting funny, like I might be in the garage on the phone talking to my sister. He'd be in the living room and he probably was hearing what I was saying or what, so all this stuff was adding up and he just didn't want nothing to do with me. But he like if I go in there and say, like if I go in there and say something to him, he'll say, yep. He'll, but all along in his heart, he was grievous with me. He didn't want nothing to do with me. He couldn't wait to get out of here. And then sometimes, like I say, get out, or either he might hear me say something, and then next I go in the closet, all his stuff packed. So and then next he'll put it back. So he was trying to figure this out. God, I got to get out of here because I don't want to be nowhere I'm not wanted. So he was trying to figure this out, but he really didn't have anywhere to go, whatever the situation was. So apparently here this woman come on his Facebook, finding him from his past, apparently when he was teenagers, because I met him when he was just turned 20. So this woman was, he knew her when he was a teenager. Here she come talking about she got a word from the Lord and want to encourage him. See what I'm saying? So apparently he was talking to her. So once she reached out to him, then after that, they must start talking about what he dealing with and then whatever. And then, so 2 nights he didn't come home. Okay? He said he was over his sister's house. He's not a liar. That's one thing he ain't going to do. He just don't lie. But who knows? I don't know. Anyway, so then the second night he didn't come home. The first night I was scared because he don't not come home, even if whatever. So I called him. He didn't answer the phone. I called him at 6 something in the morning. He didn't answer. So then my son, it probably was 6 something, maybe 5 something. So my son, he always be up late. He don't go to bed till about 6 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? He walking through all night, eating he's very healthy kid. Well, he a man. He 20. He'll be 21 in a couple of weeks. But he's always been the type of kid that be up at night. So he was I say, call, I want you to call daddy. Now I went upstairs because I was gonna have my daughter call to make sure he okay. And so he didn't answer, but he called him right back. But he never called me. So the second time he did that, I sent him a text. And I said this. I said, it seems to me you got somewhere to go, so come get your things. It wasn't long. He was at that door, came, got his things. His kids helped him carry his things to the car. And you know what he told me? He said it hurt him so bad when I didn't try to stop him. Like, I laid in that bed, I wasn't budging. Stop you? You ain't coming home? Hey, stop you? What? How can I stop you? So the first thing I'm thinking is he with somebody, but I didn't care until I saw let me see how this went down. As soon as he left, I felt like I didn't want him to be gone. Because I was already thinking about we need to go on and get married. And I was telling Greg to pray about us getting married. But all the time in his heart, he didn't want nothing to do with me. And so then now when he left the TV on a certain station. Everything he left, I kept it like it was. I didn't turn that TV off not one time. I did nobody go in the living room. I didn't want nobody in there, nobody going to his little area anyway. I just kept everything the way he had it. Because I just knew something in me knew he was coming back. So yeah, something in me said he coming back. So I just left all his stuff the same. And then my daughter put her luggage, she bought some new luggage in his closet out there in the by the door out there. And I said, when I found that stuff in there, I said, you don't get there, because and then my daughter started parking in his spot. I just felt like, don't do that. He coming back. So I don't know what was going on. I don't know. Now I know, because that was my husband. But I was just having these mixed emotions. But anyway, so when I saw him with that woman, what the Holy Spirit was saying to me, show me, you want your husband. And that's when I realized I want my husband back. And when I tell you I had to have that happen to me in order to appreciate my husband, respect my husband, honor my husband like I used to when we, but just letting that devil come in and, it wasn't always like this through, what I'm saying, not all the time, but one time is too much. And God dealt with me. God spanked my butt. He allowed the enemy. He did. He allowed it, even though it wasn't God's will. You know how I know? Because the Lord told me. This is what God told me. It was the devil. The devil meant it for bad. But it was good that I was afflicted, that I might learn my statutes. Because God told me, shield of faith. So why would God tell me to put on the arm of God? What I need is the shield of faith right now, if it was him. Because if he telling me to put on, then I'm fighting with him. That's just like when Jesus told, when Jesus was asleep on the boat and the water was, the wind, it was it was a bad storm, and Jesus sleep. Peter and them like, why you sleep? Do you care if we perish? And Jesus got up and he rebuked the wind and told the sea to be still. Why would he rebuke himself? Why would he rebuke God if that was God? That wasn't God. That was the devil. So why would God tell me how to fight him? No, he telling me how to fight the devil, because that was the devil. It wasn't God who attacked me. But God allowed me to go through that so I can learn something. And what I was supposed to learn out of that was, this is your husband. When he come home, you better not hurt him again. This is a man of God. Every time I tried to talk to somebody, which was 3 times, God told me, if you touch him, you a dead man. And then God said, he took me to Genesis. Then he said, he told me about Abraham, that man is a prophet. God will always tell me, Greg is a prophet. Don't, and me sitting up here messing with them men, I would have got the men in trouble. Because God already told me, that's a dead man if he touch you. So, because I belong to a man of God. Greg is a prophet. He's God's child. He's a man of God. And you disrespect. So my mess drove him out to that woman. And that woman was waiting on him. And the first thing she said was, marry me. See what I'm saying? Marry me. That wasn't God. And God didn't send her. But God used it for his glory. So now I don't care about my pride. I don't care about, my heart is not guarded anymore. I'm not guarded with my husband, with him being home, and I'm guarded because, what if he leave, or what if he hurt me again, or what if he say this to me, or what if I'm not expecting none of those things. But like me and him already talked about that. If no matter what, we are in this, and that's the end of the discussion. Ain't no more divorce. Now it's time to pray like never before, because we got to pray that we both stay strong and not, because see, let me tell you something. Just because it's God's will for us to be together don't mean that you have to be together. God, it was God's will for who? It was that Paul and was it Barnabas? They said separate unto us Paul and Barnabas, and they got into it so bad they had to separate. What I'm saying is God could want you to be with somebody, but it ain't God's will. I mean, it's not God can't make you stay nowhere. So with that being said, we got to pray and guard our marriage so that we won't let no temptation cause us to sin against God. Because it's God that you got to stand before. If I die before Greg, which I don't want, I'd rather us be raptured up together. I got to stand before God. And guess what? Greg is not going to be nowhere around. When Greg leave this place and stand before the Lord, he going to stand before God by himself, not with joy. So we got to get it together, because we got to answer to God, and we're going to be held accountable for every idle word that comes out of our mouths. So all I can do is ask God to have mercy on me and him, and have mercy, period. Because now that I know that this man is my husband, not because we was married before and we didn't have legal right to be divorced, but because God put us together. That's a whole different program. Now the devil can't lie to me ever again and tell me Greg ain't my husband. Because what I went through with this situation before we got married the third time, I know that this is my husband. And that's the reason why God allowed me to go through this. Remember, God kept saying, you don't know what I'm doing now, but you will. Because now I know that this man is my husband. Now I see my stupidity and my arrogance and my taking this man for granted, and vice versa. Greg, Greg is God's son. He's not mine. Greg Jr. is my son. Joseph is my son. Jornisha is my daughter. Saya is my daughter. But Greg is my husband. He's a man of God. He's not my son. And a lot of us, we disrespect our husbands so bad. And so especially, and I was finna say especially black women. That's not true. White women, black women, all these women. Then when you got a good man, you treat him any kind of way. And God is not pleased with that. That's why God used to always tell me, I used to hear in my spirit, like a couple with fear, couple by fear, couple with fear. I'm like, what is that? And he took me to Peter, where it says he wants us to be coupled with fear. Like he talking about how Peter chapter 3, how you need to respect your husband. It's not about the wearing the jewelry, the wearing the hair, the braids in your hair and all this outer beauty. It's not about that. It's about the gentle and the quietness of your spirit and your heart. You can win your husband over without saying a word, by your gentle and quiet spirit. Shut your daggone mouth. So I know. And then you teaching your daughters how to treat their man, and teaching the men how to treat a woman. All this mess. I'm taking full responsibility for joy. And I'm talking to the ladies. Please be careful how you treat your husband. Even if he don't treat you right. You're going to be accountable for your actions. You going to have to answer to God for your actions. And then the Bible also talks about with these men, your prayers are hindered when you don't respect, when you don't love your wife and treat your wife right. And you always, just like You know, you meet these people on Facebook. When you go see these women or these men on Facebook, they gonna look their best. But your husband at home get to see you at your worst. So now he looking at her every day, looking at her best. Of course she gonna look her best because she trying to impress you, or he trying to impress you. Instead of being grateful for you got a loyal wife or a loyal husband, but you think it's something more better out there. These people on that Facebook, Instagram, all these different dating websites, these people ain't loyal. You don't know nothing about these people. But if you treat your spouse right and stop treating them any kind of way, you never know what could come out of that marriage. You don't know who God, because if the devil fighting against your marriage, then God must got your marriage. He wants to use the fight against the kingdom of God. I learned that the hard way. I learned that the hard way. Yes, I love the Lord, but still, God is still dealing with me. You know, and I had to go through this to learn to respect my husband and treat him like a king that he is and that he deserved to be treated. Now all that small foolish stuff that was making me boil over at first can't stand a chance and won't stand a chance, because God gave me another chance. Yes, he did. And I want to, and you know what? Every morning I look at God and I thank him for giving me another chance. Because guess what? What if God would have let Greg go ahead and move on? I wouldn't have been able to do nothing. What if God just said, okay, that's it? I have to do what God tell me to do. So I can't, all these plans that we devise in our own hearts, it's the Lord's counsel that will stand. We are here making all these plans, and then we say in the name of the Lord. We got to stop. So I'm talking to you women. I'm talking to the women who want a husband. Get yourself together and be ready for him. Don't just think it's okay, girl, because once you get a husband, man, now you got your mess, your flesh, plus his. And if your flesh ain't tamed, what you think you gonna get? You know what I'm saying? I've been trying to run away from this man forever. You can call me the runaway wife. But God ain't not forever. I didn't start this mess until 2014. But what I'm saying is, and I was running away from I was running away from my promise, one of my promises. Like you running away from what you looking for. We do it all the time. You can't wait to get away from what you searching for. So I learned my lesson. And I still tell God to help me and keep me, because I know there are more temptations coming. I know that there are more things coming down the pipeline, because the enemy don't want me and Greg together. I'm a force to be reckoned with by myself. Greg is a force to be reckoned with by himself. So how powerful of a force could we be reckoned with together? The books that we got to write, the sermons that we got to preach, the marriage conferences and counseling that we got to do together. You hear me? We got too much to do for God. I'm 50, Greg 48. I'll be 50 in November. I'll be 51 in November. He'll be 49 in January. Whatever we're going to do, we better get busy. Okay. So, I'm just grateful that God, that he that his mercy endureth forever. And I'm so sad that so many people is in adultery because they divorced their spouse because they couldn't get along and went off and married somebody else. Man, I understand. It's just amazing how God didn't let me and Greg marry nobody else. I pray that we never do. Because the devil has been found out. He's a thief. All that money he robbed me from, even when my husband was gone and had to pay for them rooms, hotel, and different things he had to do when he out. I want all my money back. I want all the time, everything he stole from us, I want it back. The time, the love, all of that. Because God say when the thief is found out, he got to restore sevenfold. Give me back my stuff. Give me back redeem the time, Jesus. So me and my husband can write our books together and we can do what you call us to do. We can build our empire with our family for our children. We can be in love with each other even more than ever because of the love that the devil tried to steal from us. I never wear a wedding ring. Me and Greg get married, I wear that ring, I'll be done with it. I'm keeping this ring on. This is my ring, my marriage. This is me and my husband. This signifies covenant. Just like this one signifies it for me and my Jesus. So I take this seriously more than ever before. I always have taken marriage seriously. But I'm just saying, I learned my lesson. And I pray that God just bless my marriage and bless me and my husband and help us to appreciate this more and more and more and more and more. We got 3 marriage licenses. We got married 3 different times. Who does that? That's just, I thank God for his grace and mercy, but that's it. We're going to have to make this work. Because when we divorce, we be right there. We just stay in the same house together, but we just go on with our lives. And still, I make sure he eat every day. He makes sure he do whatever he got to do. I don't have to make sure he eat if you ain't my husband. But yet, guess what? He was always my husband. He was my husband from the foundation of the world. He was my husband before I met him. And the only thing that'll separate us is death. That's it. And I pray that the Lord bless me and him to live long lives and not die no time soon. And I pray that he bless my children and all my family and my mom and my family to live long lives and don't die no time soon. And all of you and your family, that God bless us and to keep us and that we don't die, prematurely, that God expand our lives. It's just, man, this is serious. Thank you for this channel and your voice, Sister Joy. Because of you, I will not divorce, but separate only. The door is still open. Yeah, because let me tell you what God can do, y'all. God bless you, Catherine. God can give you back that love. God, I should answer this and let them listen to me minister. So I bet they won't. I bet they'll hang up. Yeah, I'm gonna let them hear. They can listen. Yeah, so God can restore that love. God can turn your baby. Look at them, they hang up. See, I want to hear about God. Listen, God controls the heart of the king, and he turns their heart any way he wants to. Baby, God can turn their heart back to you, and God can turn your heart back to your husband. But like we already know, God don't force anything, but baby, God can do whatever he wants to do. God scared the mess out of Greg in that woman's house. Greg said, I got to get out of this sin. He was scared as I don't know what, because he know God. And he heard God. And God told him to get out of there. And he did. And then go back home to your wife. And he did. God sent the man of God to say, Greg, man, I don't bother you, I don't get up here, but you go back home to your wife. God turned that man's heart back to me. And he was in love with me and I didn't even know it. So then he sent me the text and said, can I come back home? And I couldn't believe it. Then guess what? Guess what? He starts sending me these crazy songs again. Going off on me basically a little bit. I guess he had to vent. But then he said, do you love me, Joy? Do you love me? He said, I know we're not in love with each other. That's what he said on that text. But in my heart, I was in love with this man. And he said, but do you love me? So Greg didn't come back here and kept his side chick, the girl on the side as a side chick. He dropped everything and came back home to first to Jesus and then to his family, to his wife and to his family. Because of God. See, God wanted me to see what, Joy, what do you want? What do you want? He needed me to see what I wanted. And he needed me to see what I needed. Not only do I want my husband, I need him. I need him to accomplish. Let me tell you something. Everything I accomplished, this man been right by my side. While I'm sitting up here writing books, who you think was at work? While I'm preaching on the radio, have to pay them to preach on the radio, who you think was at work? While I'm going preaching all over this conference, who you think at home with the kids? While I have to pay money to do this and do that, who you think I got the money from? Always supported everything I did. When I go in the studio and do my music, who you think paid for it? When I didn't have, when the guys that work with me didn't give it to me for free, when I had to work with somebody that I had to pay. I need my husband. And if God gave you a husband, that's a gift. You need that husband. You better stop disrespecting him. I'm not finna go and give more to another man than I do my own. You know what I'm saying? Checking up on this man, seeing how this man doing, and my husband in there in despair. Open the door for another woman to ease up the back way to try to get in and creep in and break in and take my man. And vice versa. Vice versa. Because if you think somebody ain't creeping up the side, trying to take you and rob you of everything that God gave you, you better think again. You better think again. Because that enemy got somebody, baby, coming for you to take you out of the will of God. That's exactly what it is. That's why Paul said, I would rather you be like me and not get married. Just stay with God. But see, just because you're not married don't mean you can whore around. People don't like that, do you? Just because you're not married don't mean you can whore around when you belong to Jesus. You got to do what God tell you to do. And a lot of y'all whoring around, and that's why God can't send you your spouse, because you're whoring around. God said, be still. Stop acting like you got to have somebody in your life every moment. Some people so desperate, act like they got to have somebody. You don't have to have nobody. And maybe if you be still and stop messing around talking to these different men, maybe God, or these different women, maybe God can send your spouse. But if you ain't ready, he ain't going to give it to you. So it's a bag. I'm going to show y'all something real quick. Then I'm going to get on up off of here. It's a bag I got from the grocery store. I really try not to walk on the carpet because I want my husband to come home and it to be fresh. But like I said, you know. But this is what it was a bag. It's a bag from a grocery store and it had promise on there. So I cut off the word promise and put it. Let me show you what I did with it. I'm gonna turn off these candles when my husband come home. Normally I try to turn them off, but I just let it stay. I'm gonna show y'all what I did. Wait a minute. It's dark in here, but let me show you what I did. See, I took and just cut that piece of word promise off that plastic bag and just put that over me and my husband. Because the promise, see, it's just a piece of plastic bag. See? Promise. Promise. Because whatever, let me make sure this door unlocked too, because I'll be locking this garage door. I mean, Greg got a key, but I'm just saying, I like to make everything. Garage door open. My husband here. Hi, baby. Hi, husband. How you doing? Did you wash that car? Nah, it was raining. Yeah, that's why I told you, don't worry about trying to wash it. Different spots, you know what I'm saying? Tell everybody hi, husband. Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? My baby home. Oh, God. What keys? Okay, come on. Come on in, baby. Okay. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I was trying to like, but my husband is home, girl. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'll be following him around. He been in the bathroom. I just be following him around like a little kid. That's right, babe. I'm following my husband around, honey. Okay. But I love y'all, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. But that's my story. I'm sticking with it. Okay. So eventually, me and Greg gonna be on here. He'll be able to tell his story, his side of the story. Y'all be able to, he gonna tell his side. Y'all know he gonna tell it. But I love y'all so much, and y'all just keep praying for us, and God bless y'all.